So, millions of years have passed since the dinosaurs went extinct. But what if humans brought them back? Would it be the greatest scientific breakthrough, or the beginning of our end? The 1993 film Jurassic Park explores exactly that. How terrifying things can get when humans start messing with nature. If you haven't watched it yet, stay with me. This recap will be quick and to the point. Let's dive in. This is the story of a wealthy businessman named John Hammond, known for building massive amusement parks to entertain people. But John had grown tired of the ordinary. He wanted to create something the world had never seen before, something that would blow everyone's mind. So, he came up with Jurassic Park, a place where dinosaurs, long extinct, would live again. Yes, real, living dinosaurs. To pull this off, John teamed up with expert biologists who were working on cloning dinosaurs using their DNA. But to clone them, they first needed dinosaur blood. So, John reached out to archaeologists, scientists who dig up ancient remains. They had discovered prehistoric mosquitoes that once fed on dinosaurs and later got trapped in tree sap. That sap hardened into amber, perfectly preserving the mosquitoes, and the dinosaur blood inside them. John's scientists extracted the DNA from these ancient mosquitoes. But since the blood was millions of years old, the DNA was incomplete. To fill the gaps, they used frog DNA, which was the closest match to the missing parts. With this method, they were able to create embryos of various dinosaur species and hatch them from artificial eggs. John chose a remote island, Isla Nublar, to raise the dinosaurs and build his groundbreaking park. Over time, the scientists managed to recreate many massive and terrifying dinosaurs, just like the ones that roamed Earth 100 million years ago. But then, one day, disaster struck. While park workers were trying to move a dinosaur into its cage, the creature turned violent. It grabbed a worker and devoured him. After the worker's tragic death, his family filed a lawsuit against John Hammond's company. Jurassic Park was already in trouble, even before it opened. Investors started to panic. They believed the park was too dangerous and doubted whether it was worth backing financially. To get clarity, the investors sent a lawyer, Donald Gennaro, to inspect the park and decide if it should proceed. But Gennaro didn't want to rely on his judgment alone. So, he planned to bring along an expert, a mathematician named Ian Malcolm, to evaluate the park from a scientific perspective. Meanwhile, John Hammond traveled to Montana, where he met two paleontologists, Dr. Alan Grant and Dr. Ellie Sattler, who studied dinosaurs. He invited both of them to visit Jurassic Park, offering them generous funding in exchange for their feedback. Soon, John gathered everyone, Donald, Ian, Alan, and Ellie, and flew them to Isla Nublar, the island where Jurassic Park was built. Once there, he began giving them a full tour of the park. He even showed them a short film explaining the process of how dinosaurs were recreated using ancient mosquito DNA. The park scientists explained that only female dinosaurs were cloned, ensuring they couldn't breed and overpopulate the island. This was meant to keep things under control. As the group explored the park, they saw some peaceful herbivorous dinosaurs roaming freely. And at first, everyone was amazed and delighted. But their excitement quickly turned into concern when they learned that carnivorous dinosaurs were also present on the island. The mood shifted. Donald, Ian, Alan, and Ellie all became deeply worried. Ian warned that tampering with nature was a mistake. Bringing extinct creatures back to life could lead to catastrophe. Alan and Ellie agreed, believing that humans and dinosaurs were never meant to coexist. But John refused to listen. He insisted the park was completely safe, and that nothing would go wrong. He tried to calm everyone down. Just then, his grandchildren, Tim and Lex, arrived at the island for a tour of the park. So, when the group set out for a survey, Hammond sent his staff and the kids alone. John himself stayed in the control room, monitoring everything through security cameras. As the tour began, things felt off. They didn't spot any impressive dinosaurs, just one sick dinosaur lying in the field. Ellie stayed behind to examine it, while the others continued onward. But suddenly, the weather turned. A storm hit the island. Rain and wind began to lash down. And that's when things started to spiral out of control. As the storm intensified, most of the park staff and scientists evacuated the island. Amid the chaos, one man saw an opportunity. That man was Dennis Nedry, the park's lead computer programmer. Frustrated with his low salary and driven by greed, Dennis had secretly made a deal with one of John Hammond's rival companies. In exchange for dinosaur embryos, he was promised millions of dollars. So, when the staff began to flee the island, Dennis made his move. He shut down half of Jurassic Park's security systems, allowing himself access to the embryo storage. With the stolen embryos in hand, Dennis tried to escape through the jungle. But with the power down, many dinosaurs were now free, roaming the island without barriers. One of them caught up to him. A dinosaur attacked and killed Dennis, and the canister holding the embryos was lost somewhere deep in the forest. Meanwhile, Ellie had left the tour group and returned to the control center to speak with John Hammond. But Alan, Ian, Donald, and the kids, Tim and Lex, were still out there. With the power off, their automated tour cars came to a halt in the middle of the road. And then chaos. A massive Tyrannosaurus Rex emerged from the darkness and attacked. It ripped through the cars and devoured the lawyer, Donald Gennaro, in seconds. Ian Malcolm tried to distract the beast but ended up injured and unconscious. Meanwhile, Alan Grant managed to escape into the jungle with Lex and Tim, trying to protect them from the rampaging dinosaur. Back at the control center, Ellie teamed up with the park's game warden, Robert Muldoon, to head out and find the missing group. Ellie and Robert soon find Ian Malcolm, badly injured. They load him into their car. But before they can get far, the Tyrannosaurus Rex attacks again, forcing them into a frantic escape. They barely manage to get away with their lives. Back at the control center, Ellie confronts John Hammond. She tells him that creating Jurassic Park was a terrible mistake, and now, his own grandchildren are facing death because of it. Finally, John begins to realize the gravity of what he's done and starts thinking seriously about how to save them. Meanwhile, Alan Grant and the kids spend the night hidden in a treetop. The next morning, as they make their way through the forest, they stumble upon something shocking: dinosaur eggs. This discovery stuns Alan. The dinosaurs were supposed to be female, unable to breed. But he realizes what's happening, since the scientists had used frog DNA to fill in the genetic gaps. And some frogs can change their sex. A few of the dinosaurs had done the same, evolving from female to male and finding a way to reproduce. As Alan, Tim, and Lex continue their journey, they encounter multiple dinosaurs and try to make their way back to safety. Back at the park, John Hammond and the park's chief engineer, Ray Arnold, are desperately trying to restore the security system. But Dennis Nedry had locked the entire system before disappearing. Without power, even the phones aren't working, and they have no way to call for a rescue helicopter. To regain control, they decide to reboot the entire system. But after the reboot, everything shuts down completely. Now, every dinosaur is free to roam the island. To finish the reboot process, someone needs to manually flip the circuit breakers in a maintenance shed located deep inside the park. John, Ellie, and Ian take cover in a safety bunker, while Arnold heads to the shed. But when he doesn't return, and the system stays offline, Ellie grows suspicious. She sets out with Warden Robert Muldoon to find him. On the way, they're ambushed by a deadly predator, a velociraptor, which kills Robert in a surprise attack. Ellie, now alone, makes it to the shed and successfully restores the power. Inside the maintenance shed, horrifying remains of Ray Arnold, killed by a velociraptor. Suddenly, one of the raptors attacks her. She narrowly escapes and makes her way back outside, where she reunites with Alan Grant. Alan had just dropped the kids off at the visitor center, hoping they'd be safer there. But no sooner had he left than two velociraptors broke in and began hunting them. Alan, Ellie, and the children reunite and manage to escape the raptors, fleeing to the control room. There, Lex, who was good with computers, accesses the park's systems and restores power, including the phones. With communications back online, they contact John Hammond, who immediately calls for a rescue helicopter to be sent to the island. But the danger wasn't over yet. The velociraptors were still chasing Alan, Ellie, Tim, and Lex, cornering them in the visitor center. Just when it looked like there was no escape, the Tyrannosaurus Rex bursts in and attacks the raptors. Being the apex predator, the T-Rex didn't tolerate any competition. As the raptors are distracted in the fight, the group seizes the moment and escapes. They reunite with John Hammond and Ian Malcolm, then rush to the helipad, where the helicopter was waiting. Everyone climbs aboard, and finally, they leave Isla Nublar behind. On the flight out, John Hammond silently watches the island disappear in the distance. He now fully understands the disaster his ambition nearly caused. Friends, that brings us to the end of the Jurassic Park movie. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to Pure Recaps for more exciting movie recaps. Thanks for watching. Till then, see you soon on next upcoming video.